I feel like women need to really understand the power that they have when it comes to money. Really taking a look at your own cash flow management, because I do have clients that are really strong about not putting their money in specific areas.
So what would you say is the number one mistake that women make when it comes to their finances?
I feel like women need to really understand the power that they have when it comes to money. And I'll throw some statistics out there of divorce rates are extremely high, especially after the pandemic. I think that was a tough time for us. Also, we live longer than men. And so I think that the biggest mistake is that we think that somebody else is going to take care of this for us forever. And that's not the case for many reasons, for everybody individually. And so we don't want to land in a place where we don't know what's going on with their finances, because that really lack of information could be detrimental to our financial picture. And so relying on a spouse, relying on an employer, relying on our parents, relying on somebody else or a third party, it's, in my opinion, a really big mistake that a lot of women make. But after the pandemic and going virtual and a lot of people sharing information online, it really did get people thinking as to, I should prepare for retirement. And so I do like the fact that the conversation has led that way to at least get those thoughts into our mind that we can do this and we should be able to ask these questions. So it is exciting. It's exciting, the move and the shift that I've seen happen from women to men.
So if I were a woman who has no experience managing my own finances, I feel like maybe I have no idea what I'm doing, what would you recommend that I start, or where would I start?
The first place where I would start is really taking a look at your own cash flow management. So where are you right now? What income is coming in? What income is coming out? What type of payments do you have? For example, I have baby twin boys. They're 1.5 years. I'm about to put them into preschool. And so what does that look like for me? Any changes in my life that might affect my financial picture, just thinking about all of that. And at the same time, as you're having that conversation, what are your goals and what do you envision your life looking like? Do you think you're going to launch your business at one point? Are you trying to leave corporate America? Do you want to maybe transition to working at a nonprofit? Is that what you are really passionate about? What does that next step, next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, and even then, if you have really like a clear vision of where you're going to be in 10 years, what does that look like so that your present can match that vision? And that's where I would start. I would start literally with just a conversation by myself, trying to figure out what are my weaknesses maybe, to see how I can then, when I talk to an advisor, how can I give this messaging to them so that they can help me get there and help me form a plan to get there.
I'm so glad that you mentioned cash flow, because as someone who's in a real estate business that does have a revenue share component, people in our organization are really interested in getting more time freedom and location freedom with, passive income. So what are some investments that you recommend to women to get that cash flow up? Because that is really the only way that we can feel wealthy, is if we have money coming in without us having to work all the time. So what are some of those investments that you recommend?
That's a really good question. Unfortunately, I can't make any investment recommendation to a very broad audience because it's very individualized and everybody is different and everybody has a different risk appetite and also a different point of view as to how they see a certain account acting on their behalf. So, for example, I could have a client that is in the accumulation phase. So she's trying to really build up her portfolio. She's maybe in a high salary point of her life, and she's trying to prepare best in regards to what tax strategies is she implementing, and how is she trying to be really both tax and cost efficient. And then I can have somebody that is already closer to retirement or in retirement, and maybe she's not necessarily looking for that really high, really low, just like ups and downs that the markets can have. She kind of just wants to focus on that cash flow. So she's trying to preserve her wealth and just get cash flow from her wealth management, whether that be an investment portfolio, whether that be real estate, what does that look like for her? And so I can't necessarily give a direct what's a good investment versus a bad investment, but I can say that as you're having that conversation with yourself and really thinking about where you want to go to, when you're reviewing your cash flow, see if there are more needs in regards to income or more needs when it comes to just growth, right? Are you trying to just have that portfolio on the side and just focusing on growth? You're not necessarily going to be looking at it every day. You're not letting the market news really astray you from your plans. And when you have that, when you realize what that picture looks like for you, then a professional advisor would be able to build something that can help you achieve what you're looking for. And then that advisor will get into, should you have more equities? Should you have more fixed income? Should you have some real estate? Should you have real estate is an alternative investment in that investment portfolio? So like, where should we go? And then how does it align with your values? Do you feel good about this? Do you feel good about the investments that you have? And if you don't, is there any shift that we could be making? Because I do have clients that are really strong about not putting their money in specific areas. And so I think that's also a really good opportunity for you to review with yourself in regards to the full picture.
And I'm curious, I don't know if this is a conversation that you have with your clients, but is your advice changing with what's going on with inflation right now? Since